The movie begins with Olga, Elio's aunt, and a soldier in the restaurant checking the menu. She looks under the table to speak to Elio. Elio had just lost his parents and was grieving as Olga's squadmate came around and spoke to her about the astronaut program, but she wasn't interested as it wasn't the right time. By then, Elio had already sneaked out and made his way into a space exhibit. There, he spotted the Voyager golden record around and clicked on it. Elio was immersed in it as the record explains how Voyagers are being sent to space to acquire information for the future and also find signs of life. Elio was completely immersed when his aunt spotted him and took him out as he kept pointing towards space. Elio became obsessed with life in space and tried sending a signal every day through his transmission helmet, but didn't get a response. Elio was working on it one night when he bumps into Bryce. Bryce was looking for him because he wanted to join his radio club and handed Elio his radio. Elio took the radio and tried sending him on his way, but Bryce came with Caleb. Elio had started transmitting signals and was getting a response when Caleb playfully sabotaged it, forcing Elio to get into a fight with him. And Olga was disappointed with Elio as she took him to her office and told him to stay put as her partners diverted her attention, and she left as Elio placed a stick on the door so he could get out too. Olga was informed about a signal as Elio got to where she was and hid in a garbage can. The scientist informed Major Olga about how they got a response from the Golden Record Voyager sent to space years ago. The scientist urges that she replied to the greetings sent to them as it might be extraterrestrial, but Major Olga ordered that he be sent home and informed the others that they were just analysts and they should focus on that. As they left, Elio got out and approached the computer, recorded a response message and sent it, but this caused power outage in the facility for a while. Elio was taken home by his aunt as she made some calls to resolve the issue. Elio was still obsessing around with his gadgets as his aunt tried to get him to stop all this. She handed him a flyer for a camp program, causing Elio to flip out stating that she is not his family. The next day, Aunt Olga drove Elio to the camp, where Bryce and Caleb were happy to finally have a chance to get back at him for the trouble he caused them last time. At night, Elio hid as Bryce. Caleb and some others wore alien costumes as they approached Elio's camp to scare and bully him. Elio was terrified and ran out, and they chased him. Meanwhile, Major Olga intercepted a message sent to her which causes her computer and other systems to malfunction, and there was a writing on the wall saying, "Where is your leader?" The bullies caught up to Elio as Elio noticed a bright object and tried alerting them, but they thought he was bluffing, and as Caleb was about punching him, the bright object caught up to them, and everything in motion came to a pause except for Elio, who could move around. Then a bright light shone. Elio was delighted because it was a UFO as he soon began to elevate and got into the spacecraft. There, an alien called O accessed him and adjusted his gravity and embedded a device in him, so he could be able to understand and speak to them. Elio was taken to a place in space called the Communiverse. There, he was greeted by Ambassador Cuesta, Mira and Helix as they welcomed him to the Communiverse, a place where the bright minds and leaders of various planets come together to discuss various ideas. Elio was taken to the Golden Record Voyager which they intercepted and his response, which was played out. Because Elio responded to their message, they mistook him as Earth leader, so Elio decided to play along because he wanted to stay there. Ambassador Cuesta was notified about a visitor's presence and went to see him. It was Lord Griggan. He paid a visit because he wanted to join the Communiverse, but was declared unfit because he is a battle general. This made him angry as he left promising to return for an all-out battle. This made them scared as they all decided to leave, drifting aimlessly to the end of the cosmos. Because of this, Elio could no longer join the Communiverse at the time and was about to be sent back to Earth. Elio hated his life on Earth and refused, stating that he should be given a chance to speak to Lord Griggan, as he was the leader of Earth, so he will be able to convince him. They agreed as the O collected his DNA sample and created his clone to send back to Earth, as they felt his planet without a leader could be thrown into chaos. Elio was fascinated by his clone, and after giving his clone some guidelines, the clone was sent to Earth. Meanwhile, Elio got some ideas from the Universe Manual on how to converse with Lord Griggan. The next day, Aunt Olga was enraged because Elio was bullied in the camp as she decided to take Elio home, but she didn't know he wasn't the real Elio. On the way home, she tried talking about space to cheer him up, but he didn't seem to be interested. This made Aunt Olga surprised, but she was okay with it. Lord Griggan had finally arrived with his army to the Communiverse to conquer it as Elio was placed in the space shuttle to go to Lord Griggan and talk to him. On getting there, he asked to speak with the leader which was Lord Griggan as the guards made way for him, and he met with Lord Griggan. Using notes he got from the Universe Manual, he was able to converse with Lord Griggan and tried convincing him to find people who will embrace him since the Communiverse didn't want him. But Lord Griggan wanted to join the Communiverse because that's where the greatest leaders are. Lord Griggan was starting to understand Elio's point, but Elio's remark about his son caused a misunderstanding, and Elio was taken away by the guards. Meanwhile, Major Olga spoke to her colleague about the sudden change in Elio and felt the camp was the reason for the change, but they were still surprised because he had only been in camp for one day. Elio was placed in a cell, and after thinking about what he was going to do, he lay down helplessly. He threw a skull which hits a vent up in the cell, giving him an idea as he used the device embedded in him to adjust his gravity and made his way inside the vent and began crawling through. Still crawling, he fell into a pit and got stuck. Still stuck, he grew scared as a Hylugen approached and began rapping him. Elio embedded a translator into the Hylugen and realized it was just a kid. When Elio asked for its name, the Hylugen replied, Glorden. Glorden said he was rapping Elio because he felt he was scared. Elio wanted to come down, so Glorden brought him down. Glorden converses with Elio when suddenly Elio stumbles on a Hylugen suit and got scared because he thought the object was a living being. But Glorden explains to him that it was just his suit which he will be wearing when he comes of age. That's when Elio realized that Hylugens weren't that gigantic, as Glorden explained that it was a dishonor for Hylugens to remove their suits. Glorden revealed he was Lord Griggen's son, the Prince of Hylig, and as the alarm rang signaling an escaped prisoner, Elio explained all that had happened to Glorden as Glorden decided to help him out of the situation, using himself as a bargaining chip. They were able to climb up to the tunnel and made their way to an escape route. They both got onto the space shuttle and rode to the Communiverse. There, Elio uses Glorden as a bargaining chip as he ordered Lord Griggen to stand down and swear on his honor never to attack again. Lord Griggen swore, and the Communiverse rejoiced as Lord Griggen was going to send someone to retrieve his son. Lord Griggen was extremely angry and ordered that they ready his son's suit so he wouldn't be used as a leverage anymore. Meanwhile, at the Communiverse, Elio was having a good time with Glorden as they played together and became best friends. They sat together and shared stories of their lives as Elio explained how he lost his parents as Glorden also talked about his mom. At that moment, Lord Griggen's ship arrived at the Communiverse to pick up Glorden. That's when Glorden broke it to Elio that he doesn't want to get into his suit because it means he won't get out again and be free. Elio, wanting to help, thought of an idea and took Glorden to O, and they began working on Glorden's clone. Elio showed Glorden his own clone but was shocked to see Aunt Olga living happily with him. This made him angry and sad, but he brushes it off and created Glorden's clone. He took Glorden to a safe place to hide, while he takes the clone to Lord Griggen. Meanwhile, Aunt Olga and clone Elio had just finished eating as the clone took the dishes for washing. After washing them, Aunt Olga gave him a big hug, and he went to bed. Unbeknownst to him, Aunt Olga obtained his hair strand as she sensed something was wrong and wanted to test his DNA. While testing them, she was surprised to see the hair strand moving, so she followed it to Elio's room and was shocked to see it attach itself to the clone. Aunt Olga opened the eye patch, and to her greatest shock, it wasn't Elio as there was nothing there, but the clone quickly held her saying they need to talk. Lord Griggen and his army gathered as Elio brought clone Glorden to him. Lord Griggen, thinking it was his real child, placed him in his suit as he and his guards began performing the rites. The rites were over as the clone was embedded in the suit and became one with it. Lord Griggen was delighted to see that his son was no longer vulnerable and decided to keep his promise and not attack the Communiverse as he left with his army. The Communiverse rejoiced with Elio, and he was about to be given the title Ambassador when suddenly, Lord Griggen shot his clone son. It turns out Lord Griggen realized the clone wasn't his son, and wanting to find out where his son is, used his Ambassador Quest mind reading powers to look into Elio's mind. She looked into it and found Glorden in Elio's spaceship, so Lord Griggen sent his guards to retrieve him. Meanwhile, Glorden spotted the guards searching for him and accidentally activated the spaceship, and it began heading to Earth. Ambassador Questa, after looking into Elio's mind, realized that he lied as he wasn't the leader of Earth, but just a child. Elio pleaded as a portal was opened for him to be sent back. That's when Lord Griggen took over the Communiverse, because he couldn't find his son. Ambassador Questa at that moment pushes Elio into the portal, and he is sent back to Earth. He fell into the river and on getting out, sat down and spotted Aunt Olga with the clone, but didn't know she was looking for him. Aunt Olga spots him and still thinks it was the clone as he is told to bring a bolt as she activated a light requesting the aliens to bring back Elio. Elio called unto her, and Aunt Olga, on looking further, removed his eye patch and realized he was real as she hugged him. The clone arrives at that moment and informs them that there was something going on in the base, so they got into the car and drove there. It turns out the army found the spaceship Glorden was in as Elio spotted it and told his aunt that his alien friend was there. His aunt believed him now, and while thinking about how to get to him, decided to use clone Elio as a distraction. The clone distracted the soldiers as Elio and his aunt got into the facility. There, they approached the spaceship as Elio got out and opened the ship. He was shocked to see Glorden in a bad state. Aunt Olga asked what was going on as Elio explained that the atmosphere was too cold for him. Suddenly, they were caught by other soldiers, but Elio quickly closed the spaceship and activated it, and flew out of the facility and got to space. In space, Elio was in a hurry as Glorden didn't have much time, so he activated hyperspeed, but the ship couldn't engage as there were so many obstacles in his path. Aunt Olga looked at it and realized they were space debris moving faster than a bullet, and they had to act fast. So, Elio tried reaching out to anyone who could hear him. Bryce was able to detect the signal and respond, and was surprised to see it was from Elio. He apologized to Elio and connected him to someone that knows how to detect the debris. Elio was connected to him, and he began guarding Elio as Elio was able to dodge the debris heading towards him. Along the line, they lost connection and could no longer dodge anymore, as the spaceship got hit continuously and was about to fail. All hope was lost, but just at that moment, their radio frequency was picked up by various professionals around the world as they guided Elio as he dodged all space debris, and there was no obstacle left. Elio activated hyperspeed and got to the communiverse. There, the people had been captured by Lord Grigan army as Elio and Aunt Olga arrived with Glarden. Elio cried as his friend Glarden was in a vegetative state. Lord Grigan, on seeing his son in such a critical condition, did the unthinkable as he got out of his suit for the first time and began wrapping his son. The warmth was able to restore Glarden back to full health as Lord Grigan ordered them to explain themselves. Glarden then revealed to his dad that he doesn't want the suit as he doesn't want to be a war machine. It turns out his dad already knew but was okay with it. Ambassador Questa this time gave Elio the title of ambassador because he sacrificed himself to save another. He was welcomed back to the communiverse as he rejoiced with them, but on looking back and seeing his aunt, he realized he had to go back with her. He thanked them for everything and stated that Earth was his home and he had to deal with it. He hugged his best friend Glarden, and a portal was opened as he and his aunt were sent back to Earth. A bright light shone upon their arrival, which was noticed by everyone in various parts of the world. The world knows now that aliens exist, and they will try to make contact. The end. If you love animations and movies, please subscribe to It's Mythical for more mind-blowing recaps like this. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.